Okay, next category. So this is again double the value of your $100 if you're keeping tally. And the answer is when these are present, the value of a product or service increases as the number of users grow. So now we're beginning to talk a little bit about the types of businesses that are enabled through technology. So what is the question to this? Well, this, of course, is network effects. And it turns out that in technology-based businesses, network effects play a huge role. So $200 from that same category. The answer is exchange, staying power, and complementary benefits. So these are 3 items defined in your text that you should be familiar with. And the question is, what are the main 3 sources of value that businesses derive from network effects? So network effects produce some results. Take a look at those 3 categories of value. It may be a way that you could think of a business to start that hasn't been addressed yet. $300 now from the same category. This type of high cost can create staying power for a product or service. So why would you stay with a particular company? This is a type of cost that helps to create the rationale for you to want to stay with that company. So what's the question? Well, the question here is, what are switching costs? So you can probably think of yourselves as your own situation as where you belong or use certain types of technology, and you often say, well, maybe I'll switch to another type of technology, but you kind of balk because of how much time it will take to learn the new technology, what other investments you might have to make to catch up, to buy other equipment that aligns with that new technology. So these all relate to this concept of switching costs, and it's an important element of digital business. The $400 question here is when products and services that encourage others to offer complementary goods, this type of ecosystem can emerge. So that's the answer. The question here is, what is a platform? So we typically talk about a company, a digital company, having a platform that its users come into, make use of the services, and derive value from using that platform. So we will begin to talk about platform markets and how these platforms are created and managed in order to create value for firms. So the next answer is third-party products and services. This is a little bit difficult, and the question is, what can help firms advance their network effects? So here the idea is that, let's say you're in a platform business that takes major advantage of network effects. You may want to allow other participants to belong to your platform that offer additional services through your platform in order to attract more users and increase the network effects. You would have to carefully manage how many of those partners you want, whether they add value or whether they one day might compete with you and steal your business away. Moving into another category now. This type of market derives its value from a single class of users. Single class of users. And the question is, what is a one-sided market? And typically we think about most businesses as one-sided markets. So retail, for example, is maybe a store that you go into. There's one set of customers that belong, and things are fairly clear on how you compete in that type of industry. And of course, we're going to explore some different types of markets as well. So here is another double question. or answer, on your scoring, if you're keeping track. So this is $200 from the fourth category. This is a type of market where there are more than two distinct categories of network participants. And this is a little tricky. It wasn't in your textbook. It's a type of market when there are more than two distinct categories of network participants. And the question is, what is a multi-sided market? Or oftentimes we'll hear people say a multi-sided platform market. And that's a market where multiple sides are being combined. They can offer services and benefits and derive value to each other. And we'll study some examples of those as we go along. The next answer is, in a two-sided market, an increase in size of one side of the market can create a rise in the other side, and that's called this type of benefit. So here's a situation where maybe you have a platform market. It has two different sides to it, and if you add more to one side, more customers, then the other side derives value from that. So we're asking, what is the type of benefit that's derived in this scenario? And the question is, what is a cross-side exchange benefit? Cross-side means that it's going from one side with set of users potentially of your platform to another side that's a different set of users on that second side of the platform. And they derive a cross-side then exchange benefit through the connections that you make. An example that we'll talk about is eBay, where there are buyers and sellers of goods that are maybe something you used and are making available because you want to resell it. So you're a buyer. You may want to go to that market to see if there's some really excellent used goods that you can pick up at a good price. The next answer is, these form when network markets are experiencing early, fierce competition, and a leader emerges, and the market does what we call tip to the leader. So in your reading, you probably saw that platform markets and two-sided markets are very, very competitive, and it's cutthroat competition. So when network markets start to get the competition going and a leader comes out, a lot of people will begin to move into that market. And so what is the word that we use for that? It's in the form of a question here. What are bandwagons? So we would call it a bandwagon of users beginning to tip towards that leader in that market. Last one in this category. This can be really tough if a firm is trying to knock off a dominant company when there are network effects. It can be really tough. And the question is, what is technological leapfrogging? So this means that suppose you want to try to jump ahead technology-wise of a person who's a leader in a platform market where there's network effects. Well, they can tend to control or manage because they have so many users, and if they keep the switching costs high, it will be very difficult for you to jump over and provide better technology because they already have significant membership of those buyers and users. Okay, let's go to our final category now. This competitive approach can help initiate the snowballing of network effects in a market. So what is the question? What is move early? So in this type of competition, you want to get involved in a market early, be an early entrant, because that's the way you can begin to grab that market share and get those users aligned with you. And there are other strategies discussed in your textbook that we will come back to time and time again. So I encourage you to take a look at some of those strategies that are relevant to these types of markets. Next answer. Starting a network effect is hard, so new companies might need to do this to get things going. So something you might want to do to get things going is to add users initially, bring up your number of users, and it might not be so good for your bottom line. What's the question? Well, it's what is subsidized adoption? So in this case, we may want to offer some services for free. Some refer to that as freemium type of services. But basically, we're investing in the people that are adopting it by giving them something at probably a higher value than what they're paying in order to attract that user base to our market. Next answer. Doing this helps to ward off competitors who will develop emulators so their products can work with yours. So what this means is that you may have competition that tries to create exact copies or replicas of your technology, and as your market matures, they may try to move into your market by selling or offering those technologies or services. So if you do this, it will help to avoid that level of competition from those emulators. And the question is, what is continuous innovation? So if you're continuously changing your products, improving them, adding new features at regular cycles, then other competitors can't really catch up. So that's an important way to advance. Next answer. This means that a new product will work with older version in firms that control a technological standard. So you're thinking about here when you offer a new product and things that you offered before can still work. That's maybe a way that you can manage or control your user base and keep the switching costs at a manageable level. So what is the question? What is backwards integrate? So in this context, we want to make sure that older equipment or services can easily be offered and maneuvered and maintained as we offer new technological innovations. Okay, last question in this last category is also double your score. So this one could be worth $1,000 to your bottom line. This is when two or more markets, once distinctly separate, begin to offer similar features and capabilities. So two or more markets that were once distinctly different, they're starting to offer some of the same types of things. Well, the question here is, what is convergence? So an example of this would be how many of our smartphones have cameras. And earlier days, we'd all carry around our camera as well as our cell phone. But now those two items have converged into one platform that we leverage in our mobile devices. Okay, last we'll have one final question. And you can wager as much as you want to on this question. So if you want to wager all that you have in your pot right now, you certainly can do that. But here is the answer. When you're too successful and your platform attracts too many users, your systems can be overwhelmed due to this. So you've attracted too many users and your systems get totally overwhelmed. Why would that happen? So we're looking for the question. And the question is, what is congestion? So when you're in this type of platform market, say a two-sided market, where you've become a dominant leader and it's hard for others to compete, and you continuously innovate to stave off technological leapfrogging, then what you run the risk of is attracting too many customers that you're not prepared to handle, and that can lead to congestion and poor customer experiences. So I hope you've enjoyed this way of being introduced to the vocabulary for this chapter and the way of thinking about digital business that we're going to need for the remainder of the course. Thank you.